how does one explain the value of this work and that students are ready for these type of conversations, particularly the younger ones, when in conversation with colleagues, administrators, families, etc.?
Well, if you have the opportunity to have an interaction with parents, one of the things you can do that I've done in conservative districts is to actually engage the parents in these conversations, to actually take those two quotes from Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and have them do the exercise. And what's fascinating is that they get into it, and and the end of it is, can you put these together and say, well, this is what I'm doing in my classroom. And there's a certain kind of then buy-in that, oh, you're not indoctrinating my kid, you're actually educating my kid. And what I've experienced is that there's a sort of, for many of them anyway, a thank you, an appreciation that oh, so you're not trying to just teach my kid your point of view. You're not just trying to get them to agree with you, that you actually are engaging them in a serious way with understanding their own history and understanding how democracy works and so on. So part of it, I mean, one approach, and I'm not saying this will work everywhere, is to actually give the parents the experience you're giving their kids, because they didn't get it probably in their own education, and they don't realize that's what you're doing. They figure you're just being didactic the way their teachers were, only you're on a different side than they think you should be. So that's one approach.
And I actually love that approach, and I second it fully. I mean, essentially what we're saying is inviting the parents into the classroom. Now, I know parents can be parents, right? I get that, right? But there's so much misinformation and disinformation about what's going on. And we know that what you're doing in the classroom, what we're doing in the classroom is not what they're saying we're doing, right? We're not trying to indoctrinate. We're actually trying to empower and create these critical thinkers that doing those exercises, inviting them and getting ahead of it. And that doesn't mean that you're going to win over every parent, because you're going to have those who are just committed to that particular political view. But what you've now done is create a set of allies, so that when that one or two parents in your class, right, come up and say the craziness, you have other parents who are like, no, we know what's going on in the classroom, and that's not it. I mean, so you need not only student power, but you need some parent power too, and those allies who are willing to say, because I think that we didn't have that when the latest hysteria sort of jumped up, right? I mean, you had a couple parents heading out to the school board saying this, and you had other parents who were like, well, I'm not sure, maybe it is happening, I don't know. But if we invite them in, let them know what they're doing, let them be a part of the learning that's happening, I think they will be thankful and grateful. I'll just add this, obviously I'm not teaching K through 12, but when we went on to went virtual as the COVID picked up, and not when we played that COVID was over, but actually when we were actually taking it seriously, like that first year in 2020, and kids were at home and not on campus, and everything was on Zoom. I had a class of teaching civil rights movement. I had a class of 120 students. And I was surprised that, we started with 120 and we ended with 117. I mean, these kids were still, they were on, they were trying to figure this out. But then, I had, 2 pages of people with their cameras on and 2 or 3 pages with them off. And then one day I was looking in class, I was looking, and, a kid in the bedroom, and they kind of bumped the camera, and it turned, and it was an adult sitting right next to the kid, right? And I was like, excuse me, so who's that? And they were like, oh, I'm sorry, that's my mom, right? And I was like, well, hi, Mom, how you doing? Mom had been sitting in the class. And then a couple other kids turned their cameras on. I was like, actually, my parents are here too. I mean, so they were sitting not to try to figure out what's going on, but they were learning, because the kids were learning, right? And they were talking to their parents, and they were home, and they came in. And I had, a good number of parents who were sitting in there. And that was the thing, right? Just as Dr. Nucci said, they want to learn too, because this is not something that they got, right? And so being able to open our classrooms, because we're doing the right thing, like we actually have history and facts on our side, right? I think builds allies, builds support, builds community, and that I think will serve us well going forward.